All right, good morning, everyone. You feel very far away, but I'm sure that's because you're getting an excellent shot of all the people behind me. Um, Thank you for joining us. I'm Mayor Satya Rhodes-Conway, and I'm going to do a safety check first. You all are standing in the bike path, so it would probably be good if you didn't do that. Thank you. Safety first. I want to thank everyone who has joined us here today. There's a number of city staff and some of our partners, but I also in particular want to thank Alder Evers and Alder Vitever for being here this morning. We're gathered here today to remember the 71 people who lost their lives to traffic violence on Madison streets over the past 5 years. That includes 5 bicyclists and 17 pedestrians. And the memorial here at Olin Park is a tribute to victims as well as to their loved ones. The City of Madison is committed to a future where no one dies and no one is seriously injured on our streets. The city's goal is to reach that state by 2035. And we are making meaningful progress through several of our key initiatives. In 2024, the city received a $6.5 million federal grant, thanks to the Biden-Harris administration, to support our Forward to Vision Zero, Safe Systems for Vulnerable Roadway Users action plan. Over the next 5 years, this grant will fund 34 projects across the city that are aimed at improving safety for pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers. One key project is the John Nolan Drive reconstruction, which will improve safety for all users. It's just one of the many steps that we are taking to redesign our streets to better protect all of us. Later this month, the city will roll out the 20 is Plenty initiative, which will lower speed limits on many neighborhood streets to just 20 miles per hour. This is really important because research tells us that if a car is traveling at 30 miles per hour, a pedestrian has between a 20% and a 45% chance of being killed if that car hits them. Whereas if a car is traveling at 20 miles per hour, the chance that a pedestrian will be killed if hit drops to just 5%. Slower speeds save lives. And that's why a big part of our focus is slowing down cars and keeping our streets and everybody who uses them safer. To reach our Vision Zero goal, it's going to take action from the entire community. This is about paying attention and being safe no matter where we are or how we're traveling through our community. It's about driving attentively, obeying the speed limits, and being mindful that Madison streets are used by all of us, not just cars. I invite everyone to visit the memorial at Olin Park and to join us in spreading awareness about the importance of safer streets and safe behavior. We have a number of speakers, but next I'd like to invite Wendi Dwyer, who has generously agreed to share her personal experience about how important it is to have streets that are safe for everyone. And Wendi and I agreed earlier that we both would rather not have to be here this morning. We both wish that our streets were safe enough for everyone right now. But it's important for us to learn from the experiences and the bad experiences that we've had in order to make our city a safer and better place. Wendi, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, and thank you for caring. On October 19th of 2023, my day started out fairly normally. Lily, my guide dog, and I We're crossing in a crosswalk with a clearly marked stop sign to meet up with neighbors on the other side of the street for our morning get-together. We were 2/3 of the way across the street when, bam, I got hit by another human driving a car who was not paying attention. I was thrown to the ground with such force that I started screaming and did not even recognize my own voice. It was the most excruciating pain I could ever imagine. My dog, Lily, was hurt, and she was running frantically around me in circles, making bloody footprints all around me, trying to figure out how to help. So one of my neighbors scooped her up and rushed her over to UW Veterinary Clinic for emergency help while I was scooped up and put into an ambulance. My family flew in from all over the country, not knowing how I would survive this accident. I ended up having 2 broken knees, 1 leg broken in 3 places and put together with metal, and 2 broken or cracked vertebrae. So I was in a wheelchair and a back brace for way longer than I could have, thought I would be. I am still healing, but the biggest loss is my confidence and my independence. I am not a fully sighted person. I'm extremely determined to stay independent and live my best life. And I gained a lot of skills using a white cane or Lily so that I could travel independently. Since the accident, I am often just overcome with fear. So I might have to turn around and go back home. Or I wake up in the middle of the night in complete panic. I've never had that before in my life. It has greatly reduced my independence. It also has changed where I live in Madison. I was a downtowner, thought I would be for the rest of my life. As a blind person, super convenient if you don't drive to be able to run all your errands on foot. I don't live downtown anymore, and I barely travel downtown alone at all. We have so many people blowing through stop signs, blowing through stoplights. I'm fiercely committed to following the rules. I don't jaywalk. I cross in a crosswalk. I pay attention. And all the time, we have people blowing through or stopping in a crosswalk. So as a blind person with a guide dog won't enter a crosswalk if a car's in it. So please stop stopping in the crosswalk. There's a big fat line before the crosswalk. That's where people are supposed to stop. And that's not just for me, that's for you. When you get out of your car, you're going to want people to do that as well. We don't have drivers and pedestrians. Everyone is a pedestrian when they get out of their car. And eventually you have to get out of your car, unless you're driving it to your bed at night. But you have to get out of your car, and you're going to want other people to follow the rules. So just do it. Let's just make this city a safer place for everyone. I hope no one who is listening ever has to experience what I experienced. It is, I don't know how we can't pass laws to make people better humans, but good humans don't hit other humans with their vehicles. This is just basic understanding of life. So let's be better humans to one another. Let's take care of each other. I hope to see you around town. I hope to see you safe. And we need a town that stays active, caring, and we sort of serve as an example. We're one of the best places to live in the United States. So let's act like it. Let's be the best people that live in the best city. And thank you for caring. Thank you for being here. I want to thank my family and friends who got me to this point today. It's been a bad, long, hard year, and I'm hoping things get better real soon. So thank you all, and I'm glad Madison's committed to improving bicycle and pedestrian safety for everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Wendi, for sharing your story with us. And I think it's really important to emphasize that while the city can and will and does do a lot of work to improve our infrastructure, that Wendi's story makes it clear that we all have to improve our behavior as well. And that's part of the work of Vision Zero, is helping to educate people about the consequences of bad behavior and how it can change all of our lives if we don't move safely throughout our city. Next, you're going to hear from two city staff to talk about some of the projects that are coming up in the next year. And so first, I'll bring up our city engineer, Jim Wolfe.
Thank you, Mayor Rhodes-Conway, and thank you, Wendi, very much for sharing your story with everyone today. I also want to thank our Department of Transportation and our City Department of Traffic Engineering for their continued leadership in support of Vision Zero. As Mayor Rhodes-Conway mentioned, I'm Jim Wolfe. I'm the city engineer for the City of Madison. And I think it's really tragic that across the country, the idea of deaths and serious injuries on our roadways have become normalized. It does not have to be that way, and that's something that we're really working hard to do under our Vision Zero initiative to change in the City of Madison, both through implementing things on our roadways, through projects to make our streets safer for everyone, but also to help change the culture about how we use our streets and understanding the real human element and the toll that traffic incidents and crashes can have on people. As we continue to collaborate across city agencies and with residents on all the projects that we're doing in the city, we're implementing a lot of these Vision Zero initiatives, and it's really becoming ingrained in all of the projects and work we're doing across the city on our transportation-related projects. We're using a data-driven approach to help prioritize those projects to really implement safety improvements on our roadways, but also to select those projects that really need safety improvements too. And as hopefully you're all aware, we're standing next to John Nolan Drive, one of those upcoming projects, which will get started with construction in the fall of 2025, aims to not only implement some just basic infrastructure improvements between poor and failing pavement and bridges, but also there are a lot of safety needs. Recently, it has been the location of several crashes, some of which involving our vulnerable road users, pedestrians and bicyclists. And so we're really focusing on what we can do with this project in a once-in-a-generation type way to make some real serious improvements along John Nolan Drive. As a lot of you have noticed, recently we have reduced the speed limit on John Nolan Drive, but as Mayor Rhodes-Conway noted, a major and important aspect of improving safety on our roadways is really to help reinforce lowering speeds for vehicles. So while the speed limit has been reduced, there's a lot of context in John Nolan Drive that still helps drivers kind of feel like they can drive faster than that posted speed limit. There's still highway elements out here, be it with wide travel lanes, paved shoulders, some of the guardrails that make it feel more like a highway than an actual urban street with more than just cars using it. As you've seen, as we've been standing out here today, a lot of pedestrians and bicyclists along John Nolan Drive too. So with the project, we're hoping to add context to this street to really help reinforce the lower speed limits, reducing travel lane widths, removing unnecessary pavement and ancillary lanes, adding curb and gutter where there's maybe unpaved or no curb and gutter now and paved shoulders, helping make it feel more like an urban street where you expect to see pedestrians and bicyclists and really help drivers reinforce the lower speed limits that we have out here. Also, we'll have improved bike and pedestrian facilities. We have a very popular path running parallel to John Nolan Drive right now. It gets a lot of use throughout the year, and with the project, we'll help provide more separation between those high volumes of pedestrians and bicyclists that we have on John Nolan Drive and separate them from some of the cars that are on this street too. It also includes a number of intersection improvements. Just a little bit towards downtown from us where we're standing right now, we have the intersections of North Shore Drive and Broome Street. Two high-use intersections, not only for vehicles, but a lot of bicyclists, pedestrians, people using other modes of transportation too, using those intersections not only to connect to other paths in the city with the Southwest Trail, but also into downtown. So with the John Nolan Drive project, we plan to implement a number of intersection improvements, reinforcing slower speeds again, reducing curb radii, making sure cars have to take turns at slower speeds than what they maybe have to do now. Shortening crosswalk distances by narrowing travel lanes and removing some of that extra pavement that exists now and reducing some of the exposure that people have while they're out there crossing the streets. high visibility crosswalks to really emphasize the importance of those crossings, and improving signals at the intersections too, to make sure that cars, as well as bicyclists and pedestrians, are obeying those signals and using the street how it's intended. And as we will also install a new path along the street too, it's along the north and west side of John Nolan Drive and North Shore Drive, also known as State Connecting Highway 151. And this new path will help remove some of those crossings that people maybe have to do now that they otherwise will not have to do, by being able to better connect between the Southwest Trail and Broome Street and into downtown. So overall with this project, we really hope to emphasize a lot of our Vision Zero principles, lower speed limits, provide better separation, provide good places for bicyclists and pedestrians and those vulnerable road users to use the street too and feel comfortable and safe while they're out there doing that, be it for transportation or recreation, getting to and from homes and businesses and all of the great entertainment options that we have in the city of Madison. So when completed, we expect that John Nolan Drive is going to be vastly improved for all modes of transportation and all street users, especially when paired with a lot of the recent improvements that we made around downtown in recent years. So we're really excited for this opportunity and for what this project can mean for the residents of the city of Madison, and how we're really using our Vision Zero principles on all of our projects in the city, especially on John Nolan Drive. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Next, we're going to hear from our traffic engineer, Yang Tao.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Yan Tao. I'm the Director of Traffic Engineering for the city. And I would like to talk a little bit more about our speed management program. As the Mayor mentioned, speed plays a critical role in the outcome of the crashes. So when we drive at a safe speed, we reduce the severity of the crashes and reduce fatalities. When we drive at safe speed, it also gives us more time to react, when things do happen. So hopefully to avoid that crash altogether. Unfortunately, since 2009, nationwide, we have seen a spike of fatalities among those most vulnerable users, such as pedestrians and bicyclists. For example, for pedestrians, we saw almost 46% of increase in fatalities on the national roadways. So that's why here in Madison, along with the Vision Zero program, we started a speed management program. So our program has two parts. So the first part is about our arterial and collector streets. So the major roadways that we saw lots of traffic, and lots of people are relying on day in and day out. Since 2020, the city has reduced speed limit on 33 arterial and collector streets for a total over 30-mile outer roadway in the city. So our goal is not really to inconvenience the traveling public. Our goal is to help the public travel through our city smoothly but safely, no matter what option you choose. Whether you walk, bike, take a transit, or drive, we want to be safe. And we want to get your destination smoothly. We have been doing some before and after study to see how things are working since we've done so many projects. And I'm happy to report that the data shows that we were not actually putting a lot of inconvenience to the traveling public. We didn't reduce the average speed by that much. However, though, we made a big dent on those most dangerous speed. So our data from 31 locations, from 38 total locations we studied, shows a significant drop in people who are driving over 10 plus miles above speed limit. Again, which are the most dangerous speed on our streets. With the years going on, as we gather more safety data, we're also looking at the crash data. I'm happy to report as well, just from the preliminary data, we saw a big benefits on safety as well. So we are still in the process of gathering more data and just making sure our data are correct, verify everything, and we will make those data available for the public as well. So the speed data is already on our website, so everybody can check it out. We'll be adding the safety data once we went through all the verification process. But again, we have seen tremendous amount of safety benefits. So the second part of a safety management program is our 20 Planted program, so which more geared towards our neighborhood streets, which most of us start our day on neighborhood street and end our day on neighborhood streets. So how we accommodate those, make those safe, are very important. A few years ago, we did two pilot projects. One in downtown, the 1011 neighborhood, another west at the Terrace Hammerson neighborhood. So from those two neighborhoods, we have gathered a lot of input. And the feedback had been overwhelmingly positive. So because of popular demand, and thanks to the support of the mayor, of our city council, and our residents, we are bringing that program to the citywide this year. So we'll be starting the implementation for most neighborhood streets in the city this winter. So we are working with our contractor on the schedule, and we'll be making information available once we have those. I know that many of our residents have already been asking about it, and has been eagerly wanting their streets to be changed 20 miles per hour, and they want our help to make those streets safer. So we're doing that. So finally, I want to say that safety starts with all of us. Especially when we get behind the wheels, we really need to pay attention. We need to watch out for each other, and let's work together, and let's save lives. So thank you.
Thank you, Yang, and I want to thank traffic engineering, our transportation department, engineering, MPD, who you can see at work right over here, slowing traffic down, and more city agencies, all of whom are doing work to help keep our community safer, and in particular to keep our streets safer. I think just this morning, we can see what a variety of modes of transportation people use all across our city. And it is our goal that everyone be able to feel and be safe, no matter what mode of transportation they're using, and no matter where they are in the city. So thank you to everyone. Vision Zero is about engineering. It's about education. It's about enforcement. But most of all, it's about what the choices that we all make in our everyday lives to be safe and to keep each other safe. So I want to thank everybody who's been here today to stand in remembrance. November 17th is the World Day of Remembrance for road traffic victims. And I appreciate everyone remembering those that we've lost and recommitting ourselves to the goal of never losing another person to traffic violence. And with that, I think any of the speakers would be happy to answer questions about the World Day of Remembrance or the work that we're doing on Vision Zero, if there are any questions. It's very bright sunshine. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to really speak up. Yeah, so as Yang said, we have sort of two efforts in terms of speed limits. And one is to really examine the speed limits on our arterial streets, the bigger streets in town. We've done some of those already, and we'll continue to evaluate where it might be effective to reduce speeds. But the 20 is Plenty program will impact, there they go. The 20 is Plenty program will impact all of our neighborhood streets. And so, it's literally what it sounds like. The neighborhood streets across the city of Madison, the speed limit will be 20 miles per hour. Mostly right now, it's 25. So we're just bringing down the speed a little bit to make our streets safer. Any other questions? Yeah. So the question is about using cameras for speed enforcement, which is not currently legal in the state of Wisconsin, but we think would actually be helpful both to get better behavior and reduce speeds, but also to make sure that our enforcement is more equitable across the city. It would take an action of the legislature to make it possible for us to use camera-based enforcement here in Madison, and we have had some conversations with legislators about this. There have been bills in previous sessions introduced but not passed, unfortunately. At this point, it is, I think, way too early to talk about where we might use them, but I can tell you with a high degree of confidence that if we were allowed to use cameras for traffic enforcement, and particularly for speed enforcement, that we would use a data-driven and equitable approach to where we place them, and we would look at where we are seeing non-compliance with speed limits and where it might be useful to have a camera-based enforcement system. I do want to expand a little bit because I think there's been some maybe misunderstanding. There's actually good data from other cities that having camera-based enforcement provides a more equitable enforcement across the community. There are often concerns about police-based enforcement and over-policing of certain communities. Cameras are a much more equitable way. If you place them based on data, they're a much more equitable way to do enforcement, and I think could have a lot of benefits for our community. So I'm hopeful that there will be continued interest in the legislature to change the law here in Wisconsin to allow us to do that. I know there are other cities across the state that are interested in this as well. Sorry. So the question is, are there concerns about federal funding going forward or for any of our current projects? The grants that we've gotten are under contract. We've received everything, all the paperwork is signed, so I'm not worried about the grants that we've received or the formula funding that has come through our MPO. I think going forward, it really remains to be seen what the new administration will prioritize. I would hope that everyone cares about safety and everyone cares about transportation and everybody cares about the state of our infrastructure. But I think it really remains to be seen what both the administration and the new Congress will do. All right. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. And thanks to all of you as well. Please stay safe, not just today, but every day. Have a great rest of your day.